Welcome back to Podcast Conversations on Philippine History, Politics, and Society. I am Lee Candelaria.
I am Vecal Porha.
And I'm Joselito Ebro.
Ang tagal nating nawala, no? It's been quite a while since our last podcast episode and we've missed all of you, our listeners. Salamat sa inyong lahat na patuloy na naghintay at sumuporta. Actually, ang daming nagme-message, nagpapaalala, ang daming nakakaalala, natapos na raw nila lahat ng episodes and so on. So, yes, we are finally back.
Talagang may sipanks kami sa podcast kahit na ang daming ganap sa buhay. In fact, si Aaron hanggang ngayon sobrang busy pa so wala muna siya today. But yes, we're excited to be back on air and what better time to return than right after celebrating our independence.
Tama. Ngayon nga ay June 14, 2 days after the Independence Day. Perfect timing kasi sinakto talaga namin na ang launch nitong bagong season ay kasabay halos ng Independence Day. Lee, ano nga ba yung theme ng bagong season natin?
Kung hindi man aware pa ang ating listeners, ang ating bagong season ay tatawagin nating Bagay-Bagay, Philippine Life Through Objects, where we'll explore important objects, artifacts that have not only shaped our history, but continue to influence our everyday lives. Sa ating bagong season na ito, tututukan natin ang mga mahalagang bagay or artifacts na hindi lamang bahagi na ng ating kasaysayan kung hindi nagbibigay anyo rin sa pang-araw-araw nating buhay. At alam kong excited kayo dahil talagang fascinating ang matutuklasan natin sa season na ito. So at least may aabangan tayo every week.
Yes, at sa ating unang episode, pag-uusapan natin ang arguably pinakamahalagang simbolo ng ating bansa. So madalas natin nakikita pero dahil lagi siyang nandyan, hindi natin talaga siya napapansin. At actually, komplikado yung kasaysayan nitong object na ito. At walang iba kundi ang Watawat ng Pilipinas or ang Philippine National Flag. So more than just a piece of fabric stitched together, the flag tells a complex story of our revolutionary past, our journey towards independence, and how we've maintained our sovereignty throughout changing regimes.
Sobrang interesting talaga nung topic na to kasi kailan lang, di ba, nag-celebrate tayo ng National Flag Day noong May 28th. At katatapos lang din ng Independence Day celebration noong June 12. So it's perfect timing to uncover the rich and if I may say, controversial history of our flag.
Nabanggit na ni Bro, no? Pero alam din ba ninyo na mayroong isang buwan halos na itinuturing na flag days sa Pilipinas. So mula yan from May 28 to June 12. At hindi lang yan. May 28 marks the day when the Philippine flag was first unfurled after a Filipino victory at the Battle of Alapan in 1898.
Ayan. Sinimula na yan ni Lee. So basically, today we'll trace the history of Philippine flag from Katipunan standards to its creation in Hong Kong, its use during the Revolution, the ban during American period, up to its restoration and the controversies that remain to this day about its appearance.
And more importantly, we will discuss the significant message and powerful symbolism embedded in each of its elements. So let's get it on.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning, no? A very good place to start. Before the flag we know today, the revolutionaries had different banners, especially the Katipunan. So nalala ko nung undergrad ako, as a history major, meron akong favorite na mug noon na regalo sa akin. And this mug had all the different flags from the Katipunan until the 1898 flag nga, no? Nasa na kaya yun? Siguro nasa bahay. Pero ang point, iba-iba talaga yung kulay at design nila. No? At ang pinakaunang watawat nga ng Katipunan, if I remember correctly, napakasimple lang niya. No? Pulang tela lang na may 3 puting letrang K na nakahanay sa gitna.
It's fascinating to think about this early flag being unfurled during the first cry of revolution noong August 1896. And those 3 Ks represented kataas-taasan, kagalang-galangan, katipunan ng mga anak ng bayan.
Alam nyo, sa US, cause of panic yan. KKK. Kasi syempre, di ba, sobrang iba yung ibig sabihin dito. Pero yung isang funny dyan, like, yung isa kong professor, may sinend sa akin na news article from like the 1930s, from Hawaii News, like Hawaii Civil Beat or something. Tapos, it's about it's about some people reporting Filipinos to the, kasi daming kami dito, di ba? So nire-report nila yung mga Pilipino sa police kasi daw they have a Ku Klux Klan chapter. Kasi meron silang KKK na flag. So I think the Bureau of Labor head at the time, Hermenegildo Cruz, or I'm not sure kung sino sa kanila, no, sa mga politiko sa Pilipinas, had to write the territory of Hawaii government stating na hindi yan Ku Klux Klan. Hindi yan, iba yung KKK, iba yung significance sa history natin. So I think it's just so funny. Pero syempre, hindi lang yung 3K, yung flag na ginamit during the Philippine Revolution. In fact, Bonifacio, the Supremo, had his own personal flag. And it's very interesting kasi yung flag na yon ay may white sun with indefinite number of rays sa ibabaw ng 3 KKK.
And then there's also the General Mariano Linares flag na medyo unconventional kasi it's a black field with a white skull and crossbones tapos may white letter K. So para siyang pirate flag yung atake niya, no? Kakaiba.
Cool, no?
Oo.
Joke lang. So actually yung skull imagery na yon, it came from Masonic and Katipunan initiation rites, which used black hoods and skull symbolisms. Si Bonifacio nga, tinawag itong Llanera skull in a joking manner.
Pero sa mga flag na to, yung naging pinaka-influential talaga ay yung sa Magdalo faction ni Aguinaldo. A red field with a white sun and 8 rays, representing the first 8 provinces to revolt.
So I think what we see here, no, is a gradual evolution from these Katipunan flags to something more unified, which brings us to the Naik Assembly of 1897, kung saan they adopted a new flag featuring a sun with eyes, no, eyebrows and nose and mouth. So, kung baby siguro ito, parang ito yung nasa Teletubbies na araw, no?
Baka nang tinaturn yung
Posible.
sa Teletubbies. Ang cute, no? Ang cute nung araw na yun, eh. Pero itong sun na to ay mythological sun talaga. So this happened after the Tejeros Convention where Aguinaldo was elected as president of the revolutionary government over Bonifacio. So it marked the shift in power and the move towards a more formal government, kumbaga, which was distinct from the Katipunan structure na sinimula noong 1892.
And then comes the most significant chapter, the Hong Kong creation of the modern flag noong 1898. So habang nasa exile sa Hong Kong, kasunod nung Pact of Biak na Bato, General Emilio Aguinaldo, as the president of the revolutionary government, personally devised the design. Though some accounts attributed it to Feliciano Hoxon, a pharmacist.
Mm-hmm. And actually, the sewing of this historic banner was entrusted to 3 women residing in Hong Kong. Si Marcela Mariño Agoncillo, ang kanyang anak na si Lorenza, at si Delfina Herbosa de Natividad, na pamangkin ng ating pamansang bayani, Dr. Jose Rizal.
Marcela Agoncillo, na kilala sa Taal, Batangas for her needlework. And she spent 5 days meticulously crafting the flag from fine silk purchased in Hong Kong with a sun and stars embroidered in gold thread.
So I think you can imagine the pressure, no? And I think the working conditions weren't exactly ideal kasi they had to redo some parts. Syempre manual lahat ito. So they suffer eye strain and hand strain, all for a flag that would become the most important symbol of our nation.
Tama. Dahil dyan, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, pag-usapan naman natin ang turbulent journey of this flag through different periods of our history.
Welcome back to Podcast. We're discussing the story of the Philippine flag for the first episode of our season, Bagay-Bagay, Philippine Life Through Objects.
So we've talked about how our flag came to be. Now let's discuss its baptism of fire and its journey through different regimes.
After Aguinaldo's return to the Philippines, the newly sewn flag received its baptism of fire and blood on May 28, 1898, when it was unfurled following the victory of Filipino forces over Spanish Marines at the Battle of Alapan in Imus, Cavite.
Yeah, that's why May 28 is now National Flag Day. Pero may nakaka-intrigang trivia ako dyan. It wasn't Aguinaldo himself who waved the flag during the Declaration of Independence on June 12, 1898. It was actually Ambrosio Rianzares Bautista, the same person, the lawyer who authored the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, and another thing I would add to that is that yung flag na ito wasn't really waved from this famous balcony that we always see in depictions, no? It was waved from a window. Kasi yung balcony was a later addition to the house.
And wait, there's more. So, isa pang interesting na characteristic ng ating Watawat ay nag-iiba ito kapag wartime. Noong February 1899, when Aguinaldo declared war against the United States, the flag was flown with the red field sa taas, signifying a state of war.
That's a unique feature among national flags, you know. And speaking of the American period, after the Philippine-American War, well, you know, at least after the declaration of its official end, the surrender of Aguinaldo, the display of the Philippine flag was actually banned.
Yes. The Philippine Commission enacted Act number 1696, known as the Flag Law, on September 6, 1907. So this made displaying or even possessing the flag as something seditious and punishable by fines or imprisonment pa nga.
So, mapapaisip ka, no? Kasi, why ban the flag? So, ibig sabihin ba niyan, magulo yung situation nun? At siguro may concerns talaga yung mga Americans, no? Sa capacity ng mga Filipino or Pilipinong lumaban. Kasi for 12 years, from 1907 to 1919, flying our flag was illegal in our own land. Can you imagine that?
Kaya nga di ba? It's like it really goes against the declaration, for example, of William McKinley that what they were doing was benevolent assimilation and the Filipinos actually liked them there. Alam mo yan, like we can see based on this little detail in our history that the American government, the colonial government this time, has always been kind of paranoid.
Yeah.
Diba? About sa desire ng mga tao noon for independence.
And ano pa, hypocritic actually. I mean, looking at their own history, diba? Tapos ginagawa nila yung kumbaga, mas malala pa yung ginawa sa kanila or ginagawa nila sa na-experience nila. So I think it's only logical no, that Filipinos were fighting. And I think Mabini pointed it out, no? Sa mga Amerikano mismo, hey, ang ipokrito nyo kasi kayo mismo.
Yeah, that's true.
Pinagdaanan nyo to and yet,
Yeah, so kala ko ba democratic tutelage pero pinagbabawalan ang isang napakasimpleng you know, expression of nationalism. Anyway, so it actually like the Philippine flag was banned for actually quite a long time, and it wasn't lifted until October 24, 1919, when a democratic government won the United States, and Governor General Francis Burton Harrison was assigned as the Governor General of the Philippine Islands. So he repealed the flag law through Act number 2871. So, and October 13, 1919 was declared as the first official Flag Day. And reports describe widespread jubilation as the flag was legally flown again.
Yeah, and perhaps you can imagine how important or how crucial that moment is for Filipinos. It wasn't really that long since we were just fighting the Spaniards. Well, actually, medyo matagal when we won from Spain. And then, again, seeing the flag, especially yung mga lumaban noon, nung Katipunan period, they're like more advanced ages now by 1919. Perhaps midlife na sila or something. And to see the flag perhaps really something emotional for them. And actually, I'm reminded as well na noong World War II, the flag faced a similar challenge. Kasi When the Japanese invaded the Philippines, they initially forbade the display of the Philippine flag. But later, they allowed it as part of their propaganda when they sponsored the establishment of the Second Philippine Republic noong 1943.
Yun nga. Maganda yung pinopoint ng Dili kasi may sinusulat nga kaming related dyan. Medyo unique yung moment of inauguration noong October 1943. Kasi the flag was raised by former President Emilio Aguinaldo and General Artemio Ricarte. So, masasabing may attempt for a continuity, although kailangan isa konteksto na yung Second Philippine Republic ay nasa ilalim ng mga Hapon.
Yes, sobrang interesting yung detail na yan kasi yung isang propagandistic thrust ng mga Hapon during the war was the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere, right? And in a lot of territories that they occupied during the Second World War, what they did was to enliven the spirit of nationalism. So they were kind of demonizing the Americans and they tried to really touch the nationalistic spirit of the Filipino at this time through leaders like Laurel, like Benigno Ramos, diba? And so on. So ang interesting na detail dito ay habang ginagamit nila yung Philippine flag for the Second Republic or for the puppet government, the Filipino guerrillas fighting against the Japanese occupation were also using the flag. And often they were using it inverted with a red on top kasi nga state of war. And that was their, the symbol of their defiance at the time. So at this point, the flag really became this complex symbol that meant different things to different groups during the occupation.
So finally, on July 4, 1946, the Philippine flag flew as the emblem of an independent nation when the United States formally recognized Philippine sovereignty. The flag has remained our national symbol through all the succeeding republics, witnessing everything from peace, medyo short-lived peace after the post-war kasi Cold War nun, no? Pero actually there were hot wars happening all over.
Proxy
wars in Southeast Asia, communist insurgency, and so on. So sa case ng Pilipinas, darating yung point, syempre, idedeklara ang martial law and all. But throughout this period, of course, the flag has always been there.
So now let's talk about the flag's symbolism, because each element has a specific meaning rooted in our history.
Mahalagang pag-usapan to kasi maraming mga misconceptions over this, precisely what each element of the flag actually means, which just proves that the symbolism of our flag is, fascinating. So let's start with the white triangle at the hoist side. So it represents liberty, equality, fraternity, ideals that were central to the revolutionary cause. At kung, maalala natin ay similar eksakto doon sa revolutionary ethos ng French Revolution.
So, yung triangle na yan is also linked to the Katipunan, as explicitly stated in the 1898 Proclamation of Independence. And many believe that it's a form of, or it was derived from Masonic symbolism, which heavily influenced the Katipunan rituals and iconography.
And inside the triangle are 3 5-pointed golden yellow stars positioned at each vertex. In the contemporary sense, these represent the 3 principal geographical divisions of the Philippines, no? Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao.
But actually, the original 1898 proclamation identified them as representing Luzon, Mindanao, and Panay. At sabi nila, and I quote, where this revolutionary movement started. So Panay was considered representative of the entire Visayas Islands at the time.
And at the center of the triangle shines a golden yellow sun with 8 rays, symbolizing, or the sun symbolizes liberty, freedom, unity, democracy, and sovereignty. It represents the dawn of a new era and a country's independence.
At itong ang 8 rays nitong sun, no, sa ating flag, represent the first 8 provinces that took up arms against Spain in 1896 and were placed under martial law. So Manila, Cavite, Bulacan, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, Tarlac, Laguna, and Batangas.
As for the colors, ang sinasabi madalas sa atin ay blue represent peace, truth and justice, red symbolizes patriotism, valor, and the willingness to shed blood for the country, and white stands for purity, peace, and equality.
Here's a controversial bit of history though. According to the 1898 Proclamation of Independence, the colors, red, white, and blue, were adopted from the flag of the United States as, quote-unquote, a manifestation of our profound gratitude towards this great nation for its disinterested protection.
So, controversial nga naman talaga yan. Of course, this was before the Philippine-American War, when Filipinos still believed the Americans would support our independence.
Speaking of controversies, pag-usapan na natin ngayon yung mga debate, mga issues about the flag. Starting with, I think, isa sa pinakamahalagang debates about it. Anong shade ba ng blue yung dapat nating flag?
Yung blue debate nga. So, isa sa pinaka-interesting na controversy yan tungkol sa ating Watawat. Now, the question is, what was the original shade of blue used in the flag's upper band?
So there are several competing claims. So si Marcel Agoncillo, yung ale na nagtahi ng ating Watawat na pinag-usapan natin kanina, sabi niya, she described it as azul oscuro or dark blue. But many historians like Theodore Agoncillo na mansplainer argued for a lighter sky blue shade.
Mas marunong pa siya sa tumahi, no?
Oo nga eh.
Kasi ang sabi ni Agoncillo, may nakasulat daw kasi, syempre positivist talaga, no? May nakasulat daw kasing dokumento na ang sabi daw, dapat ang kulay ng flag, yung blue nito, ay blue as the sky in some historical accounts. And there's even a watercolor painting by Juan Luna showing the flag with a light blue field.
The blue shade has actually changed, well, several times throughout our history. After 1919, navy blue became the standard, possibly because it was the readily available material used for American flags.
Yes, and then in February 1985, President Marcos issued Executive Order number 1010, instructing the then National Historical Institute to restore the flag's original blue, specifying that it should be lighter than the present dark blue. But after the People Power Revolution in 1986, President Corazon Aquino rescinded that order, reverting to the pre-1985 navy blue.
So, in 1998, the controversy was finally settled through Republic Act number 8491, the so-called Flag and Heraldic Code, which designated royal blue as the official shade. Oh, yan na. So, kind of a compromise between the different historical interpretations.
Grabe no, ito yung mga no? Nakakabago kasi ng buhay ito no? Itong mga ganitong usapin.
Kinaunlad natin yun eh.
Kinaunlad natin no? But I think sobrang obvious naman na the fact that the colors were based on the US flag, no? At nakabanggit din naman yan sa Declaration of Independence, I think that should have settled it. Anyway, speaking about controversial parts of the flag, isa pang major controversy ng ating Watawat ay yung rays of the sun, no? Kasi may proposal, and I think perennial proposal na magdagdag ng isang ray sa ating flag. I mean sa ating sun, no? Dun sa ating flag. And proposals have repeatedly emerged to add a 9th ray to recognize daw the significant contributions of Muslim Filipinos, particularly Mindanao, who fought against Spanish colonization for centuries, but weren't part of the initial 8 provinces included in the flag. This idea, of course, dates back to at least the 1970s, and it gained significant traction from 2008 onwards. No? Kung tamang pagkakaalala ko, si Dick Gordon ang talagang proponent nito. In 2009, a bill adding the ninth ray passed the BICAM Conference Committee of Congress. So medyo malayo-layo yung narating, but ultimately failed to be ratified by both houses.
Some historians, like Teodoro Agoncillo, argued against it, pointing out that one of the three stars already represents Mindanao and its Muslim populations. But the debate continues to this day.
There have also been proposals to add a crescent moon to explicitly represent Muslim Filipinos, or even add a fourth star to represent Sabah, the territory that's been claimed by the Philippines since the time of Macapagal. I think I like the crescent moon idea. It to represent this like historically marginalized community. Pero yung i-claim yung, tigilan natin yung Sabah claim, no?
Yeah, oo. I mean, I like the idea that we're trying to use this national symbol to become more inclusive, no? Pero yung ibang mga proposals parang medyo outlandish, no? Parang ayun nga yung sabi ko kaya nakakabago ba ng buhay yan, no? But I think at the same time, the fact na may traction itong mga ganitong proposals also means that symbols matter. It's important for certain sectors to be represented even symbolically, and hopefully mag-translate yun to better representation elsewhere, no, in the life of the country and society. And the flag, of course, remains a living symbol whose meaning and representation continue to evolve.
Maalala ko lang yung isang mystery about mystery about the Philippine flag. So, nasa na nga ba yung original na tinahe noong 1898? General Aguinaldo gave differing accounts, stating in 1925 that the original was lost, but his descendants claim he only said that to protect it, and that the authentic flag was discovered hidden beneath his deathbed in 1964.
Yes, and that flag is actually now displayed in the Aguinaldo Museum in Baguio City. But its authenticity has been questioned by scholars, including the daughters of Marcela Agoncillo herself.
But I think these debates, no, show that the flag remains, a living symbol nga, whose meaning continues to evolve. And despite such controversies, I think what's more important is that our flag serves as a powerful symbol, a powerful unifying symbol for Filipinos worldwide, transcending political divisions and even regional differences.
Not to mention that the reverence for our flag is actually enshrined in a law, no? Republic Act number 8491. Yan yung Flag and Heraldic Code of the Philippines, providing details and detailed rules on its proper display and lists prohibited acts to ensure it's treated, or the flag is treated with dignity.
Yes. Dito halimbawa sa Hawaii, kapag graduation, yung mga, I think mostly Filipino-American students, meron silang stole na sinusuot. And it's like the Philippine flag. Tapos, I mean, okay, it's like, if you're a Filipino scholar, they get that stole. Pero bilang ako, na laking Pilipinas, medyo nagki-cringe ako doon kasi bawal sa atin yun di ba? So, I was like,
yun nga eh.
Nung sabi ko, hindi pwede, illegal to sa Pilipinas. But then again, that's what we're saying, right? They're not in the Philippine soil. And number one. And second, iba talaga yung iba din talaga yung pag-express nung patriotism or yung pag-connect mo sa roots mo if you grew up in the Philippines or you're part of the big Filipino diaspora. And for us...
Pero wait, share ko lang din, Vec. Sorry, may share din ako. Kasi sa Japan naman, na-excite ako whenever I see a Philippine flag anywhere. Kasi una, indication siya sa akin na may Philippine store. So I can buy Philippine goods. Pero an inversion of that is that yung mga ang tawag ay mga snack bars or mga host bars dito sa Japan where the Filipino girls are usually may Philippine flag din. No? So I think medyo ambivalent yung feelings ko towards seeing the flag sometimes, especially when I walk sa Tokyo, ganyan. But then again, yun nga nabanggit mo, Vec, yung parang ang strict natin sa rules nating flag, no? I don't know if other countries are as strict as us. Parang,
sa
minsan
States,
tuloy parang OA na parang, huy, mali yan, huy, mali to.
Yeah. I mean, may tamang way ng pag-fold or whatever, right? It's sa US hindi sila, I mean, it's actually pretty shocking, right? Like
Yeah.
yung flag nila yung, for example, I don't know, ginagawa nilang shirt. Sa atin bawal yun eh, right? So yeah, when I see those like stoves, and I always feel like weird. But then again, yeah, it's their expression of you know, or that's the way they connect to their roots, or that's the way they show that they're connected with the community, which actually, you know, had their own history, had their own struggles away from the motherland. Pero for us na laking Pilipinas and living abroad, the flag takes on even, I think, you know, a significance, visible link to our homeland, and pareho na rin dun sa mga kababayan nating OFW na maaaring nakita sa Watawat ng Pilipinas, yung enduring identity, kumbaga, at yung cultural heritage na gusto nilang panghawakan kahit na sa malayong lupain.
And I don't know about you guys, ako, I think whenever I see like UN, nakalinya lahat ng flags, I always look for our flag, and I always think na our flag is so beautiful.
Same.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, ang ganda niya.
It's like,
maganda yung symbols niya. It uses primary colors. Tapos, interactive pa. Kasi pag binadiktad, iba yung meaning. I mean, I don't see you can find a flag as pretty as ours, no? At the same time, of course, our flag is also a call for us to remember, no, to honor the sacrifices of this long struggle for freedom and sovereignty, representing the entirety of the Philippines, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, to uphold as well the enduring ideals of liberty, justice, patriotism, and unity.
So that's all for our episode on the Philippine flag. Maraming salamat sa pakinig. We hope you gained a deeper appreciation for our most important national symbol.
And in our next episode, we'll be discussing another significant object in Philippine life and history. This time, pagkain naman. So, interested ako dito, no? Pagkain produkto ng ating wartime experience. So, yan lang muna ang ating clue. Abangan niya.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts and visit our website at podcast.org for more resources.
Yes, so until next time, and this has been Podcast, Conversations on Philippine History, Politics, and Society. As always, have a good day.